Much has been said of Donald Trump's desire to burn the Democratic House down and start over with a completely new form of government centered around the dominant power of the chief executive. The idea of three co-equal branches of government serving as a check and balance against the concentration of power in any one branch is probably the greatest obstacle to Trump's rise to authoritarian rule. But how serious is the threat of dictatorship? And does the former president actually seek authoritarian rule?
He's the head of a country, and I mean, he is the strong head. Don't let anyone think anything different. He speaks and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do the same.
There is absolutely no doubt about it. The first warnings that this candidate was not inclined to respect anything about the status quo came from his chief political advisor, Steve Bannon of Breitbart News fame. As early as 2013, Bannon was inciting the destruction of the two-party system as we know it in favor of a populist uprising to take down the GOP and the Democratic left. I quote him, "We don't believe there is a functional conservative party in this country, and we certainly don't think the Republican Party is that. It's going to be an insurgent center-right populist movement that is virulently anti-establishment, and it's going to continue to hammer this city, both the progressive left and the institutional Republican Party," unquote. Despite Bannon and Trump's quick divorce soon after the inauguration, Bannon proved prescient, other than his characterization of the new party as center-right. Functionally, there is no Republican Party in 2024, having crumbled to irrelevance to the extent that the few members that hold on to traditional Republican values have either lost races to extremist MAGA candidates or have chosen to resign, seeing their efforts as useless in the face of the acceptance of the tsunami of lies that are the foundation of the new party. The strategy soon became apparent and was not subtle or disguised. If confidence in the institutions that define American governance could be undermined to the extent that they were seen as an evil cabal, then faith could only reside in the source of that revelation, Donald Trump himself. He made sure this message was unambiguous, and he wasted no time delivering the message.
I humbly and gratefully accept your nomination for the presidency of the United States.
With the biggest speech of his short political career,
I am your voice.
Trump cast himself as an angry and all-powerful national defender.
I alone can fix it. I will restore law and order to our country. I'm going to make our country rich again.
Trump outlining his firm approach to fighting crime and terror.
The crime and violence that today afflicts our nation will soon, and I mean very soon, come to an end.
And offering new specifics on his proposed Muslim ban.
We must immediately suspend immigration from any nation that has been compromised by terrorism.
The GOP nominee hammering home nationalist themes, presenting the country as a dark place. The billionaire striking a populist tone, too.
I have joined the political arena so that the powerful can no longer beat up on people who cannot defend themselves.
Clocking in at an hour and 15 minutes, the longest speech in modern political convention history, Trump's frequent target, his Democratic opponent.
This is the legacy of Hillary Clinton. Death, destruction, terrorism, and weakness.
Once Clinton and the election were behind him, his victory emboldened him to become the liar-in-chief we came to know. In 2018, he appeared at the Helsinki summit, sharing the podium with Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. The U.S. intelligence community had come to a unanimous conclusion that Russia had been very active in undermining the 2016 election to favor a Trump victory. Putin vehemently denied it, of course, and when questioned on this international stage before the entire world, Trump would make it clear where his allegiance lay.
Friday's Justice Department indictment of 12 Russian agents for election meddling and the judgment of U.S. intelligence agencies, including Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats, that Russia interfered. President Trump asked, who do you believe, President Putin or the U.S. intelligence community? His answer?
People came to me, Dan Coats came to me and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
And the president complimenting an offer from Putin. Instead of turning over the indicted Russian agents, Russian officials would question the agents themselves, with special counsel Bob Mueller present.
I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today. And what he did is an incredible offer. He offered to have the people working on the case come and work with their investigators with respect to the 12 people. I think that's an incredible offer.
Tonight, the president's own intelligence chief, Dan Coats, shot back with a rare rebuke. We have been clear in our assessment of Russian meddling in the 2016 election, and we will continue to provide unvarnished and objective intelligence in support of our national security. Critics like former Obama CIA Director John Brennan unleashing.
It's something that is a disgrace, and that all Americans should be ashamed of that performance of somebody who holds the title of President of the United States.
During the current administration, despite some incredible successes legislatively and a world-leading response to the economic aftermath of the COVID-19 debacle, Trump has painted the Biden camp as communists, fascists, weaklings, and criminals, all while fighting off legitimate criminal indictments of his own. His legal woes were the perfect opportunity to attack the justice system, painting himself as the victim of a diabolical deep state. Another institutional pillar of the American system would be undermined, and by now, his followers were so indoctrinated that anything he said would be repeated without the first critical thought. This has provided an opportunity to infiltrate the minds of millions of gullible followers and create a whole new party of traitors to the idea the United States was formed to support. Yes, I said the T word. It is far past time that we all did in describing what is happening in MAGA world. There's nothing that justifies the January 6th insurrection. There were no secret white buses arriving filled with Antifa warriors or BLM savages. No group ramped up awaiting anti-American militia, other than Trump and his co-conspirators in the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. No evidence exists to support the idea that the Democrats tried to overthrow the certification of their own candidate for reasons that no one can explain. Traitors? Anti-American? Oh, yes, and no less. Trump has suggested that all rules and norms are subject to suspension, including the Constitution, because of the fraud that cannot be shown and frankly doesn't exist that tipped the last election to Biden. That evidence is no longer required, as a reasonable facsimile of evidence can be produced that will easily sway a gaslighted, massive, and captive audience living within a media bubble that deliberately suppresses critical factual information to politically direct a predetermined response. The fix is in, and the outrageous lies that support it are the very evidence that this movement is traitorous. The rule of law that defines the United States is the surety that all citizens are afforded the same protections and the same penalties as all others. Our biggest weapon against tyranny in this country is free and safe elections, and a very sophisticated infrastructure is in place to protect the integrity of that process. The big lie, the overarching fallacy that defines the MAGA movement is that the 2020 election was stolen. More than 60 court cases, many overseen by Trump-appointed judges, have proven otherwise. Independent audits paid for by the Trump campaign have failed to find any irregularities that would influence the outcome of the election. Every effort has been made, and then some, to show the election was stolen, and all of them have failed entirely. To continue this assault on truth is nothing less than treason, an attempt to undermine the will of the majority of the American people. Those who assaulted the Capitol on January 6th are not patriots. They are not hostages of a weaponized government. They are criminals, insurrectionists who sought to overthrow our system of government for an authoritarian oligarchy to which they would quickly become victims. The overthrow of our form of government that is designed to put the general population at the center of its concerns will be replaced with a system to elevate the already elevated. MAGA has successfully penetrated the minds of a huge number of voters who are willfully pursuing a new form of government that will treat them as chattel for the benefit of oligarchs. Nothing less than of, by, and for the people is at stake. The ability to have a voice in what we value is at stake. A second Trump administration will make the abuses of gerrymandering and voter suppression seem quaint, as our vote may simply no longer be required. The MAGA herd sees no concern. Do you? Then vote. I'm Link. This is Progressively Older.